I guess I had one question. I mean, Northwestern, such a great institution, and you guys had a really, really good year this year.
Yes,
Even some games that you didn't win, you played close. So was there any one factor that you felt as players that the team kind of came together and really gelled?
I think it's just our experience. I think the seniors on the team, we've been together all 4 years, and the new guys we brought in really kind of bought into the leadership and everything that the coaches and, we want to do as a team. And I just think our just togetherness and just, everything about stuff that's happened in the past has brought us together more. And I think we kind of just took that into the year, and in the summer it really started. And I think it kind of just carried us through the whole year.
Okay, any questions from the audience?
Bob Beeler, Boise State Radio. My question is for the guys. Why are you guys so good defensively? Your numbers, your percentages, your points. What makes you guys tough defensively?
Yeah, I just think that it's like he was saying, our connectedness. The leadership, the coaching. We really dwell on our defense and take pride in it. And our defense requires all 5 guys to be out there and be connected. So when we're dialed in, we can really make it hard for the other team to score. And we just try to do the best job we can, helping one another out and just having each other's backs.
BJ Rains with Bronco Nation News. What are you guys' thoughts on Boise State? What are your thoughts on what they do well and the challenges they're going to present tomorrow?
Oh, we're definitely a really good team. I mean, everybody playing in the tournament is a really good team. But, the Mountain West is a great league. They have great players on their team. They definitely do play a little bit different than the teams we played in the Big Ten. But I think we just got to stick to our principles. We got to, do the things that the coaches, want to change up for this game, offensively and defensively. And I think it's just going to be a great game. Both teams are really great defensively. They're an older team. They play tough. So I think it's just going to be a great and fun game to play in.
Annie Costable from the Chicago Sun-Times. 2 quick questions. Chase, the game against Penn State, how do you mentally rebound after a night where maybe your shooting is a little off? How do you reset? Where do you go? What do you do to reset?
Well, I think it's just confidence. I think good game, bad game. I believe in myself and my abilities. Whether I play well offensively or whatever, I'm going to play the game the right way. I'm going to play hard. I'm going to do what I got to do, be a good teammate, and just trust my work. I put in a lot of work. We all put in a lot of work as a team, as individuals, and just to go out there and just trust that and see where the cards fall.
And then for both of you, this was a big year for the program, especially for Coach Collins, who many thought, his job security came into question. Did you guys feel like coming into this year you had to play for him? You had to play to, keep him in his position at all?
Coming into this year, I wouldn't say that we were looking at it that way at all. There was definitely rumors and things being talked about, but I think just in the seniors alone, and the guys returning it with this group, along with the coaches, we kind of just banded together and decided that we were going to create something that was super special and that no one on the outside looking in thought would be possible. And so from the moment the season ended last year until where we are now, Coach has kind of just made the statement of this is who we are and this is what we do, and we're going to do anything we have to do to prove people wrong. And so, it wasn't we're playing for him or he's coaching for himself. It was just a collective group effort of, we're going to do this thing, and, that's what happened.
Jay Tuss, KTVB. Chase, you look at you guys' numbers on the season. If you guys hold teams under 65 points, you're 20-1, and if you allow them over that, I think you're 1-10. Why is that such a magic number for you guys? It seems like 65.
I honestly never did know that stat until you just said it. But I think it's just kind of what you just kind of alluded to. Our defense is such a big part of our game, and some nights our offense might struggle, but at the end of the day, we got to bring our defense no matter where we go. And I think, I don't really know why it's 65 or why that number is, but I think it was in the past, if we hold teams under 60, then things usually end up being good for us. So I think that's usually our goal, just to hold teams to as low as possible, especially half by half in each 4-minute segment in the game. So, I mean, that's a crazy stat. I don't know. Just got to do what we got to do.
Dave Bennett, WGN Chicago. Boo, you've spoken before about how you kind of came into this with a chip on your shoulder a little bit. Can you describe how that has sort of prompted not only your development, but this season for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of came in with a chip on my shoulder ever since, coming in as a player from high school, just being super under-recruited alone. But, I feel like this year, based off of last season, we had a couple games where it was close, and, we ended up losing them late down the stretch. And had we had won 3 or 4 more games last year, we would have made the tournament. So, just coming into this year with that chip, that just knowing that if those games go differently, we make a tournament. And so I just feel like everybody on the team came in with that chip and that attitude, like now's the time, like there's no more time to wait, and the chip hasn't gone anywhere. We're still coming into this tournament with that chip. Win or lose, we're always gonna have that chip on our shoulder, and we're the same team that we started out in the preseason that no one believed in, and we're just going to continue to prove people wrong.
Over here.
Chase, you mentioned they play a little bit different than some teams you've played. Can you maybe describe what you mean by that? And also, Boo, if you could comment on what you're seeing from Boise State.
Well, all 5 of their starters average double figures. They're a very balanced team. Even their leading scorer, Dajan Hart, he's obviously a really good player, but like their go-to guy is their point guard most of the time. So, they are just very balanced, and they run a lot of actions and, different stuff that, like I said, is different than what we've seen in the Big Ten. But I think it's nothing that we're not ready for, and I think, again, it's going to be a fun game.
Up front?
Yeah, Boo, this one's for you. You provide your team with almost 25% of their scoring. How do you deal with that pressure? Because it certainly seems like you have a smoothness to your game. So how do you deal with that pressure when you guys are struggling to score the basketball? You've kind of been their go-to guy this year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just try to make the right play every single time. I have the ball a lot, so if teams are trying to take me away, then the play is to pass the ball. But if I can get to my spot or get to one of my shots, I'll do that as well. And I think everybody has done a good job. Guys have found me, and I try to find guys. But like we always pride on ourselves on defense, because offense hasn't been super great for us this year. It's gotten better, but so we kind of all just come into the mindset of getting stops and letting offense come. So I just kind of just let the game come to me and try to get my teammates involved, and I think they do the same. So.
Sir?
Brady Frederick with KTVB. You and Boise State alike both have great defensive metrics. Do you get excited about the prospect of this being a defensive slugfest?
Yeah, I think I get real excited. I think it's going to be a fun game. We got a lot of things in common with Boise State. Older team. A lot of guys scoring around that 10-point area, and then we're both defensive-minded teams. So it's going to be a battle of the defense.
Are there any Zoom questions to be had? If so, please raise your hand. One more question from the gentleman up front.
Hey, Boo, could you just tell me what you see out of Boise State point guard Marcus Shaver Jr.?
I see an older player, smart point guard. He leads the team, just controls them. Try to pick up pressure a little bit. Yeah, that's what I know from him. Not really much different than anybody I haven't seen. So ready to go.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here and excited to compete in the NCAA tournament. Great time of year.
In your opinion, what was there a turning point in your season that you knew you had improved substantially from the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I think our early slate in the non-conference was incredibly important for us. You know, we had lost a couple of our big guys, but we still had a lot of guys returning, but there were a lot of guys in new roles. And we had our early season tournament in Cancun, Mexico. We played a really tough Auburn team that's going to be in the NCAA tournament, lost a 1-point game. But just watching our team out there, the way they competed, we played Liberty, you know, a really good team, and beat them the first game. To see how we competed in those 2 games, and then to come home, and about 2 weeks later, we went up to Michigan State and won our first conference game at Michigan State. I think kind of during that time period, as we saw my team, I saw the kind of grit and toughness and how we were evolving as a team. I said, you know, we have something here. You know, we got to keep improving. We got to keep getting better, but we have a good group. We have a connected group. And this is a group that can be a good team if they continue to improve, which we did, and obviously really proud of how we were able to accomplish during the regular season, the Big Ten, and put ourselves in a position to be out here.
If you have questions for Coach Collins, please raise your hand. Over here.
Coach, BJ Rains with Bronco Nation News. You've had a couple days to look at Boise State, the tape, the stats. What stands out to you about them?
I think the thing I'm most impressed with is their balance. I mean, obviously it's an older team. It's a tough-minded team, really good defensively. You know, I think you're going to have 2 defensive-minded groups that have really taken pride in that side of the floor. But anytime you're playing a team that has 5 guys averaging over double figures, it's harder to defend, because a lot of times you might have 2 guys or 3 guys that kind of get the bulk of the shots, and you can play around that. I mean, these guys, it's kind of game to game. You don't know. You know, Shaver could have a big game, or, you know, Rice gets 25 to 30. Obviously, Dagenhart is a terrific player, inside, outside big, who can do a little bit of everything. Smith kind of does what he does. Agbo makes threes. So they present a tough challenge, just having 5 guys, in my opinion, on the floor that can all score. And so you got to really be connected on the defensive end. You got to be locked into what they're doing. They run good stuff. They're a connected group. And just an older, tough-minded, winning, you know, you can tell they're a winning program. You know, they do what's necessary to win games. And I think we know we're going to have our hands full with that. They're a really tough team, and obviously Leon does a great job, and it's going to be a tough game for us for sure.
The lady from the Sun-Times.
Annie Costable here from the Chicago Sun-Times. Chris, there were a lot of hot takes coming into the season about job security and such, and I'm curious if it's true that you were coaching for your job this year.
I never viewed it like that. You know, I'm super competitive. You know, I never was, that narrative wasn't, it was about being the best for my guys. You know, that's what I kind of come into every year. I've always had the approach, like, just do your best. You know, can you be at your best for your team? And, you know, I know that kind of became the public narrative and perception that I never felt that. You know, coaches always put pressure on themselves. That's what we do. You know, we put pressure on ourselves to be at our very best, to help our guys be successful out on the court. Obviously, we had a couple years where we didn't get over the hump, and last year was frustrating because I thought we had enough talent and we didn't get there. So, you know, we were anxious to get into the year this year and get after it and kind of prove that we could win. But, you know, I never felt like it was make or break in any situation. I was just trying to be at the best for the guys and do our best as a staff to help them win.
And one more quick one. What is it about this team, yourself included, that you feel like makes them so great, makes yourself so great at responding to pressure? Because this was a pressure year.
Well, I just think your experiences. You know, we have an older group. Our 2 guards, Buie, Chase Audige, they're guys who've been 3- and 4-year starters. Robbie Barron's been a 4-year starter. Ty Berry, Matt Nicholson, they're older guys. You know, they've been through a lot. They've been through some wins, but they also have been through tough times, losing streaks, you know, negative noise from the outside. And you got to learn how to deal with that and hopefully use it as fire and as fuel to get better and to get to the other side. I think our team really rallied around each other this year. You know, the kind of noise around that we couldn't do it. I mean, it was a nice rallying cry because we believed we could, you know, and that was great. We went out there, we didn't listen to what people were saying about us. We didn't listen to preseason prognostications. We said, let's just get better. Let's focus on what we can do, and let's go out there and win. And it's just such a great thing for these guys because they're the ones that have put in the time. They're the ones that have done it. And to go out there and have the season we've had and put ourselves in a position to be out here has made it really special for me as a coach.
J-Test KTVB. Sorry. Yeah. You mentioned Max Rice, his name, and when he makes threes, Boise State's a really tough team to beat, and he's made a lot of them this year.
Yeah.
What have you seen out of him and what he brings to this Boise State men's basketball team?
Well, typical coach's son. He's really smart. He's tough. Can really shoot the ball. And, obviously I had a chance over the last 3 days to watch a lot of their films. And he's scary because he's one of these guys, if he hits one, like I've seen him go on a run, 4 or 5 in a row. I just watched, their last home game against San Diego State, and all of a sudden he scored about 15 in a row there in the second half to kind of single-handedly win the game. So you got to be accountable for him at all times. You got to make sure you're there when he catches the ball. And he's so crafty. You got to stay down, make sure you don't foul him. But he's a really good player, really good scorer. And, I've been impressed watching him on film these last few days.
Bob Beeler, Bronco Radio Network. It seems like points are going to be tough to come by. Both teams are outstanding defensively. So how do you see your team getting points? Where do you think they're coming from? What's going to be sort of your offense?
Yeah, I think, they're so good when you allow them to set their defense. So we have to do a good job in those instances of executing and making the right reads and right passes and certainly making some shots. That's been a struggle for us at times. We've had our problems on the offensive end in terms of shooting the ball. But I also think opportunistically, can we get out in the open floor a little bit? Can we force some turnovers? Or a long rebound where you might have a 4-on-3 or a numerical advantage where you can attack. Because I think both teams, if you let their defenses get set, it becomes harder. So I'm sure the same thing with them. If you can opportunistically find ways, out of bounds plays, which we call kind of special teams. Anytime you're playing in a game where points are hard to come by, you have to maximize every opportunity, and the margin for error is slim because it's not going to be a super high possession game. So I think both teams realize that, and I want our guys to be ready to attack when they have numbers and attack the open court. And then when you have a good shot, you got to take it, because when you play against good defensive teams, if you don't take the first, the shot that's available, you might not get another good shot. So I think those are going to be all things that are really important in this game.
JTS, KTVB Boise. When it comes to Boo, we talked about pressure and stuff. How much does he put on his shoulders to be your guys' scoring presence on offense? And then overall, just what has he meant for your program? Because I'm assuming you guys probably wouldn't be here without him.
Yeah, no, it's been a great not transformation, evolution, of his game. We gave him the ball when he was a freshman. And lived through some of those freshman year point guard in the Big Ten. There were nights you saw talent and nights you saw a lot of turnovers and bad shots. And every year he got a little bit better with his decision making, with his maturity, with his leadership. And now it's kind of all come to fruition here his senior year. And he's been our leader, obviously scoring wise, making plays. There's a lot on his plate. And that's what great players want. The really good players, like I've said, when you get to this point, the really good players need to play well. That in the NCAA tournament, you need your better guys to step up and play well in order to advance. And I know he's looking forward. It's his first chance to play in the NCAA tournament. It's been a lot of work, a lot of ups, some downs along the way. But now to be here in his senior year, I know it means a lot to him, and I know he's excited to compete.
Gentleman in the back.
Hey, Chris Tavares with Channel 40 here in Sacramento. I want to ask you about Titus. He's an area guy from Manteca, just about an hour south of here, a little over that. What does he bring to the court? What does he bring to the team? And how special is it for you as his coach to see him kind of wrap up his career in the NCAA tournament in more or less his hometown?
Yeah, Titus has really been a great addition for our program. It's no mistake. We lost our two bigs at the end of the last year. Pete Nance, Ryan Young were guys who played all the minutes in there. They graduated and moved on, and that was going to be coming into the year, I think, the biggest unknown. We knew we had our guards back and some of our wings, but what was going to happen on the front court? And Titus, along with Matthew Nicholson, have really stepped up and done a great job kind of filling that void and playing to their strengths. And I'm excited for Titus. The grad train, he's such a great high character guy. He's fit in seamlessly. He's been great for our program. He's been a great veteran, for our guys who's played a lot of basketball. And for him now to come home and, you know, at the end of his career and play close to home. It was one happy guy. He had a big smile on his face when Sacramento popped up. So he's been telling all the guys until we got here what it was going to be like coming out, and I know he's going to have a lot of friends and family, and it's great, you know, because he hasn't played in an NCAA tournament either. So this is kind of first for him, and to do that in your hometown is pretty special.
Josh?
Chris, Josh Dubow from AP. Obviously, there was a lot of fanfare when you guys came to the tournament for the first time 6 years ago. How is it different this time, and just what do you guys need to do to sort of make it a more regular?
Yeah, I think it's equally as exciting. You know, I mean, the first time, there's nothing like a first time. I mean, historically, for the history of the program, you know, first time in whatever, 75 years, it was almost like going to a Final Four or a national championship for a lot of our fans and the people involved in our program. You know, then we haven't been back, you know, in the last 5 years, and that was frustrating. You know, we weren't able to sustain that level. But we've worked really hard to kind of rebuild it with a new group. You know, none of those players that played on that team are on this team. So it's the first time for this group, which to see their smiles, to see their joy, to see their excitement, that keeps you energetic as a coach. And, you know, it's obviously we're here to compete and we're locked in on finishing this season out, but it's going to be certainly important for us to try to work just as hard to be able to sustain what we weren't able to do last time. You know, and so we'll draw upon our experiences as we head into the off season, and certainly you know, try to keep our group together the best we can and continue to add to our team and try to make it where it's a more regular appearance. You know, I think coming a second time, it's gratifying, because if you go once, it's great, but it can almost be like, you know, kind of the one-hit wonder type of deal. But to be able to now stamp it and be back a second time, you know, hopefully that'll help us as we continue to build for the future.
Coach, one more for me. Chase, you know, his game against Penn State was not reflective of what he's truly capable of offensively. How do you see him respond to games like that and you know, mentally, physically, like get back on the court and shift back to what we know he's capable of?
Yeah, I think the great thing about Chase is he's a super confident player. So, you know, he's been one to kind of get amnesia about having a tough night, you know, which is great. That's what you want with a really good player, is to be able to learn maybe from what you saw, maybe what a team did to you. Also, you know, he had some looks he normally makes that I'm confident he'll knock down tomorrow. And, you know, he's been in a good mindset. He's had a couple good days of practice. I think all of us, once you get through the regular season and your conference tournament, it's kind of a new lease on life. You know, it's a national tournament. It's a fresh start for everybody. And I'm just confident he's going to bounce back. He's a tough-minded guy. Obviously, we're going to need him. You know, he and Buie are two huge parts of our team, and we're at our best when they're playing at their best. So I know he's going to bounce back. I know he's excited. I just don't want him to put pressure on himself. You know, I want him to go out there and throw himself into competing and take what the defense gives him and then do what he does defensively. I mean, that's what's great about Chase. Even when he's not scoring, his ability to impact the game on the defensive end is equally as important to our team.
Time for one last question.
You mentioned having some older guys. I mean, Leon Rice talked this week about all 5 of his starters have played in an NCAA tournament game. You got older players, but just is there anything to this and you know, doing these big press conferences like this and the open practice, and what do you think about experience, I guess, this time of year?
Yeah, I definitely think when you've been here, it matters, you know, and that gives them an advantage. They've been through this before. This is all new for our guys. They're excited. It's you feel when you get to this venue and you do the press conferences and you get out to the open practices, to me, that's when you kind of really feel like you're there, because you get that tournament buzz. The thing I've just really tried to stress to my team is we want to enjoy it. I mean, this is a culmination of great thing. We want to celebrate what we've done, but also understand why we're here and to not stray from the formula. You know, let's have our same preparation. And at the end of the day, when the ball gets tipped at 4:35 or whenever we tip tomorrow, it's still a basketball game, and you got to lock into doing the things you have to do playing basketball. You can't get swept up and make the game bigger than it is, because if you do, you're going to be in trouble. You know, so we're trying to keep the normalcy as much as we can with our preparation, with our film watching, with our practices, things of that nature, and hopefully having, even though it's the first time for a lot of our guys, the fact that they're a little bit older, a little bit more mature, you know, hopefully they'll be ready to really lock in once the game starts.